Moving on from question 9 over at Logical Reasoning drill set number 6, we can see question 10. We've got our highlight tool selected, and we're going to read the question stem first to identify and mark exactly what the task is for this problem. 10 reads, which one of the following most accurately describes the argument's method of reasoning? So we're going to highlight describes the argument's method of reasoning. And when you have a method of reasoning task, you want to more carefully identify facts and opinions in order to definitively select whatever the main conclusion is and highlight that for clear reference. Because often with these types of questions, you've got more complex arguments. So you just want to go very deliberately as you're reading and then carefully determine what the conclusion is, understanding that often there will be multiple opinions that could trick you into selecting the wrong statement as the main conclusion. And then we'll broadly summarize what the way in which the argument gets to that conclusion as a mental prediction. So, starting from the top, we've got injuries to the face sometimes adversely affect vision, but not always. Okay, that's just a statement of fact. Nothing opinionated there. This is not surprising since the organ of sight is a discrete subpart of the face that can be precisely located, namely the eyes. Okay, again, statement of fact indicates a guaranteed statement. So even though this may seem somewhat unfamiliar to you, it's being presented as a fact, not as a conclusion. Then we've got with brain injuries, more and more research is showing that the resulting disabilities sometimes involve loss of language skills, but frequently do not. Okay, this is just more and more research. Research is going to be presented as a fact, so that's not our conclusion. And then lastly, we've got this suggests that there is a language component that can be precisely located within the brain. Okay, so that is the main conclusion. And we want to highlight what is the information that suggests there is a language component that can be precisely located within the brain. And it's that more and more research is showing that with brain injuries, the resulting disabilities sometimes involve loss of language skills, but frequently do not. And this follows the statement about the face and eyes that is similar. So we should have in mind one of our common argument structures of analogy. We've got a scenario that affects the eyes, and we're using that information to then basically apply it to a similar outcome involving the brain and language skills. So I've got this mental prediction of we're kind of looking at an analogous circumstance and leading to a conclusion that's somewhat similar, although it may not be as readily apparent. Thank you for watching this explanation video of logical reasoning drill set number 6 over lawhub.lsac.org. If you enjoy the tips it contains, please consider liking the video and subscribing to MyGuru's channel to be alerted when new explanation videos are released by MyGuru. Also, check out the description below because within it you'll find links to additional resources from MyGuru and additional full prep test sets of video explanations. In the meantime, let's get back to this video explanation. We go to the answer choices with our highlight tool selected and that mental prediction present in our mind, looking for reasons to eliminate it. So, choice A, inferring from repeated findings that a more general conclusion can be drawn in one case than another. Well, the repeated findings are this more and more research, which leads to the claim about the language component in the brain. That's the more kind of obscure or harder to understand conclusion. So it's not more general. So we should be able to eliminate choice A as not being more general of a conclusion. And that is going to be our reason to eliminate this answer choice. Then choice B, drawing a conclusion that is less obvious by drawing an analogy to a case where the corresponding claim is more obvious. Yes, right? It's kind of dense. It's a little abstract. This is not necessarily the easiest question to answer without our prediction, but because we evaluated everything so deliberately on the left-hand side, you might be able to pick B right now, which would allow you to go more briskly through the remaining answer choices. But for the purposes of this video, we will break down why each of the remaining choices is not actually this argument's method of reasoning, highlighting reasons to go as we do so. Choice C reads, contrasting two cases and using the differences between them. Well, no, we're not contrasting the differences between them. We're saying they're analogous. So C is literally the opposite of what's happening. We should be able to eliminate that pretty readily. Then choice D, rejecting a hypothesis on the basis of data that more strongly support an alternative hypothesis. Nothing's been rejected. We've actually said that these two things both can happen at the same time. So we should be able to eliminate choice D again as just simply not the way in which this argument proceeds. And then choice E, inferring from a claim that one part of an entity has a certain property that the entity as a whole has that property. We are not actually conflating part and whole or relating part and whole here. This is potentially a trap if you don't proactively select B because you just go, ooh, LSAT language, kind of phrasing that I recognize. Be careful about this. Don't fall in the trap